So we go to the WBO light heavyweight interim title. Joshua Buatsi, champion, taking on Callum Smith. So at this moment, Callum Smith, as I just said, he scored out 2 losses, and ever since his loss against Canelo Alvarez was shocked enough, I did thought maybe he could recover from everything he did in his career. And even though in 2022 he went to Saudi Arabia for the first time and scored out an amazing KO victory, but then lost against Artur Beterbiev, but I thought to myself, maybe he can still recover from the fight. And when I heard he might have been going to Saudi Arabia on February the 22nd, and after he had a nobody win in November a few months ago, while Joshua Buatsi has only boxed in Britain, the UK, for his whole life, and he only did box in the USA once back in 2019. So I thought to myself, okay, this is the first time he's going to travel to another country other than the US a few years ago. So I don't know if the environment is going to be good for him in Saudi Arabia, which is also the reason I gave Callum Smith the victory, because he was at Saudi Arabia and he was a traveling person. So I was thinking Callum Smith knew the environment. He was getting used to it from Saudi Arabia, and Joshua Buatsi was going out of the UK for the second time in his career because he's been there so much. So I didn't know if he thought the environment was good, which is also the reason why I thought Callum Smith was going to win the fight. Seriously, I really did believe that was my pick for the entirety of that show. And I'm not going to get to the fight because there's not much to it. Because, like, the fight ended with judges scoring it 119 to 110, 115 to 113, 116 to 112, all favoring one fighter. And there's nothing much you can say about it. These guys are in their 30s. They're both around the 175-pound mark. 6'2" Buatsi, 6'3" Smith. And by the way, guys, I do love the tail of the tape where they have a camera getting a wide shot of the arena and the crowd, and then it has this tail of the tape where they have smoke around the building, or almost like it was edited. It was edited. It was so good. I don't know how they even did it. It was so good. I just don't know how to explain it because it was so amazing of what. Like, if you guys watch, like, there's actually, I think there's actually a highlight clip of that clip that I think they actually showed us a highlight on YouTube of that. It was so good. It was so good because they had smoke around the area, the tail of the tape. It was, I don't know how they did it. If you just watch the video, it's just so amazing of how they edited that. It was just so, I don't know how to explain it, but I think there's a highlight on DAZN Boxing that shows that, the highlight of it. It's just so good. So, like I said, guys, the match starts off as Buatsi trying to box his way through, and there is times that Callum Smith was doing an okay job defending himself, but yet again, and also I kind of found it weird that the back of Callum Smith's trunk show the word autism for some reason. Does that mean he had autism? Who knows? It's crazy that the first 2 minutes, Buatsi pushes him to the ropes and then he stumbles and trips to the ground, which kind of felt scary at first. But everything in the fight was just wild. The power punches, and everything else. Like, Buatsi and Smith were landing even punches and other punches in around the first and second round. And so there were times that they were holding themselves as best they can. There were times they had body punches. There was one scary moment with 50 seconds left of the third round where Buatsi goes for this 2-punch combination to the body while Smith is punching him upstairs. He goes for a right and then another punch right into I thought he got him in the groin, and then he angled it with a looping right to his noggin, and Callum barely stumbled, tripped, and fell, and he kind of recovered, only to clinch Buatsi, and the referee giving him a chance. Like, that was scary. Like, I was like, oh boy, this has might have been the worst pick I ever done, because I did not expect Callum Smith. Because, don't get me wrong, guys, even though I had the first couple rounds barely for Smith, and I almost gave Buatsi round 2 a little bit, And round 3 and even round 4 was another round that looked like Buatsi might have won it. But after 4 rounds with 2 apiece for each of them, boy, oh boy, round 5, round 6 were all Callum Smith's rounds. Like, he went into that fight, he was obliterating him like nothing before. And he was, like, at this moment, he was finding his spots. He was finding the upstairs jabs, and they were trading punches. And there were times that Buatsi was trying to clinch out, grab Callum's arms just to give him a clinch because he went to try to waste time in the fight, trying to recover from each round. But at the same time, you look at it, you're trying to save your stamina for the next rounds. And Callum was outboxing him, throwing out punches in that 6th round and doing a pretty interesting job. Like, there were times that Callum was barely recovering in the first several rounds. There was a moment in the final seconds of the 6th round where we had a wild left punch upstairs by Buatsi and Callum stumbles at the end. But at the end of the day, it didn't mean he went into the 6th round too late. So Callum already had that round won easily. But yet again, you come to the 7th round and Buatsi manages to barely outbox him in the 7th round. And even the 8th round, because in the 8th round was another round close enough because I thought maybe Buatsi had something there, and yet again, another round for him. And then you come to round 9 and it seemed like Callum Smith, like, I only saw the fight once, so if I ever go back and watch the fight again, because I thought maybe Buatsi won the round, maybe Smith won the round, I gave round 8 to Buatsi, but yet again, we all have our own opinions who we thought won that round. Yet again, at the end of the day, you can't watch it a second time, but when watching it live at the time, who knows? And then you go to round 9, and Callum Smith just outboxes him again, and manages to get another round going, and then in round 10, Buatsi manages to outbox him again, and after 10 rounds of fighting, both of the guys are even on points in my opinion, with only 5 and 5 apiece. And then the end of the final couple rounds were just more rounds being traded for each other. Like, Buatsi gets round 11, and then Callum just gets round 12 at the end and scores, and that's the end. I had the fight scored 114 even, but the judges' scores had it crazy because, like I said before, Steve Gray had it 119 to 109, and he even gave round 7 a 10-10 round. The only round he gave a win to Buatsi is round 3. So I questioned that, but the other judges, Antonio Maraganillo and Richard Blowen, had it 116, 112, and 115, 113. All by unanimous decision, Callum Smith. At the end of the day, it was not a bad fight, and technically, I was surprised that Callum managed to win the fight and get a good win. It was good. It was good.